You don't have to speak to be noticed. In a world where everyone is loud, the most powerful presence is silence. This video will change how you see yourself and others. The ones who leave a lasting impression, the ones who walk into a room and pull attention without saying a word, they know something you don't. They do something different. And today, you're going to discover those 11 silent habits that make them irresistible. But here's the deal. The moment you hear the first one, you'll feel it in your bones. You'll know this isn't just another video. This is a transformation, the kind that gets under your skin and stays there. So if you're serious about becoming someone who doesn't chase attention but commands it, stay to the very last second. It starts with the way you carry your energy. There's a quiet intensity in some people. They don't need to talk about what they're working on. They just work. They don't scream success, but you can feel it radiating off them. This kind of energy only comes from discipline, from doing the hard things when no one's watching. You start to build that aura when your actions become louder than your words. People sense it. They don't even know why they're drawn to you, but they are. And it's because you've become rare. You've become the one who doesn't need noise to make an impact. Most people don't know this, but one of the most attractive things is stillness. Not laziness, stillness. The kind of stillness that shows you don't react to everything. You don't jump at every insult. You don't flinch at pressure. You listen. You observe. You stay composed. That stillness tells people you're not easily moved. And that drives curiosity. It's powerful because it shows control. And control is magnetic. When you become the one who pauses before speaking, who doesn't overshare, who doesn't entertain drama, you separate yourself from the crowd. The world is drowning in people trying to prove themselves. But the quietly attractive ones, they don't explain who they are. They let people wonder. That mystery, it's a superpower. When you walk through life without trying to be understood by everyone, you conserve your energy, and that energy becomes valuable. People start to crave your presence. Not because you talk too much, but because you talk just enough to leave them curious. It's not about being fake, it's about being selective. That restraint creates gravity. Silently attractive people know how to use eye contact. They don't look around nervously, they don't avoid your gaze, and they don't stare to intimidate. They look you in the eye with calm, unwavering confidence. It's not aggressive, it's present. That kind of eye contact says, I see you, but I'm not impressed. I'm not chasing. And that shakes people. It triggers something primal. We're wired to respond to presence. And nothing signals presence more than someone who meets your eyes with grounded certainty. There's a habit that almost no one talks about, but it instantly sets you apart. Speaking less, but with weight. When silently attractive people speak, their words have meaning. They don't fill the air with noise. They don't interrupt. They don't ramble. Instead, they pause, they choose their words, and they speak with purpose. And because they don't speak often, when they do, people listen. This gives them an authority that can't be faked. In a world where everyone is trying to be heard, the one who speaks last and with clarity holds the real power. Another underrated trait is posture. Not the kind you fake, but the kind you build through confidence. Shoulders back, chin neutral, movements precise. There's a quiet elegance in someone who moves with intention. It shows self-respect. It shows that you're not collapsing under life, but rising above it. And here's the twist. Posture affects how you feel about yourself. It's not just about how people see you. It's about how you see yourself. When you carry yourself like you matter, people believe you do. A deeply attractive habit is self-reliance. The world is full of people seeking validation, but the silently attractive, they don't ask for permission. They don't wait to be chosen. They choose themselves. They build their own path, their own peace, their own purpose. And because they're not constantly seeking approval, people respect them more. They stand alone not because they can't find anyone, but because they know their worth doesn't depend on anyone. That kind of independence is rare, and rare is always attractive. Time, they respect it. They don't waste it explaining their every move. They don't show up everywhere. They're not available to everyone. Their presence is a privilege. And when you live like your time is sacred, people start treating it that way. The habit of being intentional with your time, of not being constantly online, of disappearing to build, that's what makes you intriguing. While others are busy trying to be seen, you're becoming valuable in the shadows. And when you return, people feel the shift. Confidence without arrogance is a razor-sharp line, and silently attractive people walk it with ease. They don't brag, they don't compete, they know who they are. Their confidence is rooted in experience, not ego. It's the quiet kind that doesn't need applause. And here's the trick. The more you do, the less you have to talk about it. Your results speak. Your presence speaks. And that kind of quiet confidence is unforgettable. It's the kind people talk about after you leave the room. They dress with purpose, not to impress, but to reflect their internal standard. Not flashy, not desperate, but intentional, clean, fitted, sharp. Every piece says, I care about how I carry myself. And that's the habit, intentional appearance, because it shows you pay attention. And people trust those who pay attention. Your appearance is the first signal you send to the world. When you refine it, when you dress with subtle precision, it makes people curious. Who is that? Becomes a thought you provoke just by walking in. Another powerful trait is emotional control. When everyone else is losing their mind, you remain centered, not cold, just grounded. This is a habit that takes time to master, but once you do, it makes you untouchable. You don't snap, you don't chase. You respond with clarity or you don't respond at all. And that restraint is loud. It shows emotional maturity. And emotional maturity is rare. When you become someone who isn't swayed by every wave, people look at you like a lighthouse in chaos. They read, they learn, but they don't flaunt it. Silently attractive people have depth, not just charm. They know things. And when they speak, it shows. Not because they quote books, but because their thoughts are layered. It's the habit of being a student of life, observing, reflecting, growing. And people pick up on it. You don't need to impress anyone when your wisdom speaks louder than your words. And the best part, you never stop growing, which means your attractiveness never stops evolving. They protect their energy like it's gold. They don't hang out with everyone. They don't entertain nonsense. Their circle is small and their standards are high. That's not arrogance, it's awareness. The habit is this. Your environment either elevates or drains you. And silently attractive people know how to choose elevation. They cut off the noise, they walk away from chaos, and because they refuse to lower themselves, they rise. People respect what you protect, and when you protect your peace, you become powerful. Lastly, they love being alone, not because they're antisocial, but because solitude recharges them. They don't fear silence, they embrace it. They don't constantly seek company, they enjoy their own. That habit of being content in your own space, it radiates strength, because when you don't need anyone, you attract everyone. There's nothing more magnetic than someone who's full without the crowd, who doesn't chase attention, but receives it because they've already found wholeness within. The world has trained people to believe that if you're not loud, you're not confident. That if you're not showing off, you're not successful. But silently attractive people have unlearned that lie. They understand that true power doesn't beg for validation, it simply exists. Calm, collected, and unshaken. The moment you stop trying to convince people of your worth is the moment they start noticing it. Because silence forces others to lean in, to look deeper. And when they do, they find something rare, something real. What most people don't realize is that restraint is a weapon. In arguments, in relationships, in business, the one who can hold back their emotions has the upper hand. Silently attractive people don't react. They calculate. They don't explode, they observe, and then they respond if it's even worth it. That emotional intelligence makes them unpredictable, and unpredictability creates tension. Tension keeps people invested. When no one can predict your next move, you become a mystery they crave to solve. There's a particular strength in being quiet when most would speak. It's not suppression, it's dominance over your impulses. Most people talk to fill space. But when you're silent, your words grow value. Silence becomes your currency. And when you finally speak, your voice carries weight. People don't just hear you, they feel you, because you've made listening a habit, not just speaking. And in a world where everyone wants to be heard, those who listen become kings and queens of influence. Have you ever walked past someone who didn't look at you, didn't try to be noticed, but you felt something magnetic pulling you toward them, that's the result of energy cultivation. Silently attractive people build powerful inner worlds. They meditate, they heal, they reflect, and all that inner work radiates outward. It shows in their stillness, in their focus, in their composure. When you clean up your inner energy, you stop seeking validation, and that self-containment becomes intensely attractive. They master their tone, not just what they say, but how they say it. Calm, controlled, no emotional roller coaster. Their voice carries certainty, and that certainty makes people feel safe around them. It tells others, I know who I am. I don't need to raise my voice to prove a point. In a loud world, this softness, this emotional discipline becomes revolutionary. It's not about sounding robotic. It's about choosing grace over aggression. And that grace makes people lean in and listen closely. Another habit most silently attractive people master is the art of mystery and storytelling. They don't reveal everything. They don't share every detail about their lives. They drop pieces, enough to spark interest, but never too much. This balance of openness and restraint makes people hungry for more. You don't have to lie or manipulate. You just learn to be selective. Because when people feel like they haven't figured you out yet, they keep coming back. Curiosity is a powerful hook, and they wield it masterfully. They value presence over performance. When they spend time with you, they're there fully. No phones, no distractions, just eye contact, stillness, attention. That presence creates a rare connection, because today, everyone's mind is somewhere else. But when someone makes you feel like you're the only person in the world, you remember them. Silently attractive people don't try to impress you. They make you feel seen. And that emotional impact lingers long after they're gone. They know the power of subtle rebellion. Not the loud, destructive kind, the graceful kind. The kind where they don't follow the crowd, they don't follow trends. They move differently, they trust their own path. And that makes them unpredictable. In a world of copies, they remain originals. That habit of staying true to yourself, even when it's unpopular, makes people respect you deeply. Because they know you can't be bought, can't be bent, can't be broken. That's a rare kind of silent dominance. Silently attractive people protect their words. They don't gossip. They don't speak on things they don't understand. They don't spread rumors. Their conversations are intentional. When you speak with dignity, people feel safe around you. They know you won't betray their secrets. That loyalty becomes part of your brand. And in a world where trust is rare, being trustworthy makes you priceless. Your words build your reputation, and the silently attractive never speak recklessly. They live with discipline, and you can see it in everything they do. Their routines, their fitness, their consistency. They don't boast about their hard work. They embody it. That level of self-respect becomes attractive without them saying a word. People can sense when you're someone who does the hard things. It reflects on your posture, your skin, your energy. You become someone who's carved from discomfort, and that silent strength draws people in like gravity. They create silence around chaos. When the world is panicking, they stay calm. That ability to be the still point in the storm makes them leaders, even if they never claimed the title. They don't get dragged into arguments or online battles. They don't explain themselves to people committed to misunderstanding them. They simply walk away. And that walk-away energy is intoxicating. It says, I don't fight for attention, I create peace. And peace in this loud and toxic world is priceless. They master the power of no without guilt. Silently attractive people don't over-explain, they don't justify, they don't beg for understanding. They simply say no, and they mean it. That boundary is magnetic, because most people are too scared to disappoint others. But the silently attractive understand that self-respect requires limits. And those limits protect their energy, time, and dignity. Every time you say no to something that doesn't serve you, you say yes to your power. They don't compare. Silently attractive people are focused. They don't look sideways. They don't compete in other people's races. They build quietly, slowly, and steadily. And because they're not trying to beat others, they become unbeatable. Comparison drains energy, but focus builds presence. And presence is what makes them glow. The habit is this. Stay in your lane so deeply that people wonder where you're headed, and by the time they notice, you've already arrived. Their silence isn't emptiness, it's protection. Not everyone deserves access to their thoughts. Not every moment needs commentary. They don't need to fill the air with their voice to prove they exist. They exist through their impact, through their discipline, through their evolution. And that silent evolution is more terrifying than any loud declaration. Because by the time they show up, they're already powerful and no one saw it coming. They walk with intention, not rush, not laziness, intention. Every step says, I know where I'm going. And when you move with that kind of internal clarity, people notice. You don't need to announce your mission, you just embody it. You don't need to ask for space. People make space for you. Because when you walk with that kind of focus, the world steps aside. There's something hypnotic about someone who moves without hesitation, without apology. It says, I am enough, and I don't need to prove it. Silently attractive people have mastered the art of observing before acting. They don't rush to conclusions. They take in the room. They read body language. They notice the small details that others overlook. This observational power gives them leverage, because when you understand people deeply, you know what to say, when to say it, or when to say nothing at all, and that level of awareness makes others feel seen and understood without a single word. That's rare. And rare is always attractive. They move with grace. Not in a theatrical way, but in a grounded way. Their gestures are controlled. Their posture is strong. Their eyes don't dart around nervously. They focus. They are fully rooted in the moment. That kind of presence tells others, I am in control. You don't have to shout confidence when your body already speaks it. People feel it. In the way you stand, the way you sip your coffee, the way you exit a room, every motion becomes a message, and silently attractive people send the right signals without speaking. They don't chase, not people, not approval, not trends. They attract, and the reason they attract is because they have something most don't. Self-contentment. They're full from within. So they don't need to beg for love, attention, or validation. They radiate peace, and that makes people want to be around them. Chasing repels. Magnetism draws in. The silently attractive choose the latter, not by accident, by habit. And this one habit changes everything. Their discipline is invisible but powerful. You won't see them posting gym selfies or bragging about waking up at 5 a.m. But you'll notice their clarity, their sharpness. Because when you take care of yourself behind the scenes, it shows in every scene. Their quiet routines shape loud results. Their mornings are sacred, their nights are intentional. And all that internal structure builds external elegance. Discipline, when done silently, becomes a secret weapon. They speak in short, powerful sentences. No rambling, no over-explaining. Every word has a purpose. They don't fill space with fluff. They leave room for curiosity. Because sometimes mystery says more than information ever could. They don't need to convince you. They allow you to draw your own conclusions. That confidence in communication builds respect. The less you explain, the more people pay attention when you speak, and the more you let silence do the work, the louder your presence becomes. They value simplicity in their style, in their words, in their energy. They don't try too hard. They don't layer on unnecessary noise. Their fashion is clean, minimal, intentional. Their spaces are uncluttered. Their energy is calm. That simplicity draws people in because it feels safe. It feels real. In a world screaming for attention with chaos, silently attractive people whisper with order. And that whisper is louder than a scream when it comes from someone who doesn't need the spotlight. They take care of their appearance not to impress others, but because they respect themselves. Their grooming is consistent. Their clothes are well fitted. They smell clean. Their energy is polished. They don't rely on luxury brands. They rely on presence. And that self-care becomes part of their silent glow. When you take care of your body, people assume you take care of your mind too. It builds trust. And trust is the foundation of silent attraction. They're not emotionally available to everyone. They don't hand out access like candy. They protect their energy. They don't trauma dump on strangers or overshare online. They share when it's safe, when it's earned. And that emotional self-control builds respect. You don't feel overwhelmed by them. You feel intrigued. You want to know more. But they don't let you in easily. That resistance builds